Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the FoxieMoose Show, episode 8. I know it's been a long time since we've uploaded our last episode, but we are back on it, folks. We are back on it with a brand new character to analyze. And just for the future, in case anyone was wondering, I've been going through some stuff at home, so I've been trying to get that settled. So it's taken up a lot of my time. But now we are back, and we have a whole new direction that we want to go with the channel. Basically, a more focused one where we're going to be focusing on character design analysis for our favorite characters, your favorite characters that are found in competitive multiplayer video games. Sometimes we may do something a little different, but we will be breaking these characters down, figuring out what works and what doesn't work. So, without the delay, let's see who we got going on for this week.
Pleased to meet you.
That's right, folks. Not, not him. Not him. We're going to be working on Sakura. That's right. We're going to be working on the babe, the one and only Sakura. And if you don't notice, the style of videos that I'm trying to go for are basically more natural videos where they're not really edited too much unless I make a really, really bad mistake. But most of the time, I'm just going to do unedited footage and just show you guys and, show you guys what really happens. All right, so we're going to be working on Sakura, specifically the Sakura um, from Street Fighter V, because I really like what they did with her design. All right, so let's get into it. So we're gonna start off with the story and figure out, why she looks the way she does and what should she look like. So let's go back. You saw me pull up here. This is just the Wikipedia here, and we're just here for the story, really. But basically, to sum up, she typically fights in her school uniform, as it says, and her bio. Okay. Basically, she saw Ryu on a he they saw she saw Ryu win the first tournament, the first like fighting tournament in her area or whatever. And since then, she's been a really big fan of him. She's basically been skipping school to really find out how she can meet him, and eventually she does meet him several times to become his student. But he always says that at that time, it's like, no, he's not ready for a student. He still has too much to learn for himself. So she always goes back, she goes back to her normal day as if nothing happened. And then maybe a few years later, she'll go back and try to stalk him again. So she's kind of like this stalker almost. But the way it's said in the story is that she's basically a student, and she's always going to be a student as far as we know. And she's always going to look up to Ryu. So she's someone that really looks up to Ryu heavily. Even if we look at some of her gameplay, she has very similar move sets. She's actually taught herself a version of Ryu and Ken's fighting style. So that's actually that shows like that she has this kind of like determination behind her character. And it says in Street Fighter V she wears a different outfit, which is what we saw. And it's basically her college uniform. So that's awesome. If that's her college uniform, that's like really awesome. I know it was here somewhere. I just wanted to get it. I think oh, story. So yeah, we don't know much about her early life. She has a best friend that we don't really see too much. And yeah, basically we've been through everything. So now in Street Fighter V, she comes across Karen while she's basically walking down the street, and she doesn't really know what to do with her future. So she's basically like confused as to what to do. So she's like, maybe Ryu has some kind of idea. So she finds out Ryu's like in the area, and then she actually runs into him. Funny enough, and then she basically joins from there. Let's see what it says here. It says after a match against Karen, Sakura asks why she always picks a fight with her for no reason, to which Karen replies that a fight with Sakura is the best way to test her skills. Sakura states that neither of them are kids anymore and questions not only if their fights are the best way to use her time, but also if becoming stronger is the right way for her to live. Karen wonders if Sakura would say the same thing if Ryu was present, to which Sakura gets excited and asks if Karen has seen him. The latter explains that she saw him during the recent crisis where she summoned a bunch of fighters. At her workplace, Sakura thinks about how she wished she could see Ryu again, but realizes how she must continue at her part-time job and not travel around the world at a whim like she used to. She goes back to work when one of the customers notifies her about someone going crazy at the arcades. On her way home, Sakura thinks about her life and future when she bumps into Ryu, who mentions that Karen summoned him because of Sakura. After a fight, to ease Sakura's mind, Ryu praises her for growing stronger and more mature. Sakura asks Ryu about his life, stating that no matter how strong he becomes, he will eventually grow old and die, wondering if that's the right life for him. Ryu asks if she means he should take on a disciple to carry on his skills to the next generation, stating that he is still in training and can't take one. Sakura says she meant by having children to create new bonds in life. Ryu replies that he never thought of it, but consider it a type of strength. Sakura agrees and thanks Ryu for his answer, now knowing what she wants in life. In a short awkward moment and slightly embarrassed, Sakura quickly corrects herself by saying she is not trying to have children right now. And this whole meme about it, everybody got kind of like excited that basically Sakura professed her love. But that's beyond the scope of this video. So let's go in and take a look at what her design is right now. So we know that she's basically always looked up to Sakura, as I said earlier. And now she's really trying to figure out what to do with her life, so she's still in school. So let's see what's next here. So the way I like to break down a character is into about 5 steps, which is the trope, which the trope grounds the character to something familiar and similar. We have the spin and the hook, which makes the character interesting and memorable. We have the alignment, which is the nature or the personality of the character. We have the archetype, which is the role they play in the game. And obviously we have what type of game this is, and this is obviously a fighting game. So let's start with the trope here, where we say that, so something that grounds the character to something familiar and similar. Now we know that you can tell that she's a fighter. Let me pull out a layer to write on here. Let's get a bright blue, or bright. Yeah, let's get a bright blue. So we know that she's a fighter already because of the stuff she has. Like she has on gloves and she has a headband on. So we can tell that her main trope is that she's some kind of like fighter almost. And the thing that really grounds her is that not only do we know that she's a fighter, her outfit is basically a replica of what Ryu is wearing. And we all know Ryu's outfit is literally a martial artist. So this kind of shows how dedicated she is to becoming like similar or something like Ryu, or potentially surpassing him at some point. And then secondly, we have this outfit here. And this outfit is her school uniform, which is really cool because I love like the way the dress pleats, and like you get these buttons. It's really cool design to me. It looks really cool. So yeah, that's the trope. So the trope is almost like a Ryu disciple, and a martial artist. That can go in either route. So let's move on to the spin and the hook. Now we said this makes the character interesting and memorable. Usually the spin and the hook are something that are way different than the trope. So if we have a martial artist, normally you would want to do something like, something from outer space or something from underwater. Basically, you add like either some kind of history or maybe she has like a special weapon. If she would have had like a giant hand cannon. Usually it's just adding something else, adding a secondary element to the character. So in this case, let's try to figure out what Sakura's is. So we said her trope is a Ryu's disciple. So her spin or hook would be that she's a college student. So that's where this outfit comes in. Like literally, the rest of her design is literally just this outfit here. You can see her shoes, and that's so she's literally fighting in her outfit, which is practical because I mean she can kind of move around. She has a lot of freedom. She has a lot of leg room to move around, and that's really important. Um, and we can't. It doesn't look like her shirt is too tight. So now let's move on to the alignment, which is the nature and the personality of the character. Now we know that based on the wiki, it kind of explains that she's really hardworking. She's determined. She's actually very caring and kind. So her archetypes are usually broken down if you go by the D&D method. Usually broken down into like either like nine. I think it's nine different segments, which is basically like you have the lawful side, you have the neutral side, and you have like the chaotic side. Long story short, lawful people are people who have a set of rules, but then you have lawful good, lawful neutral, and lawful evil, which kind of basically speaks for itself. And then you have the neutrals, which kind of just care for themselves. They don't have laws. They don't just attack people up for no reason. They always just have a reason and they work for themselves. Now you have chaotics. Chaotics are people that just don't follow rules and they always want to break rules, basically. So with that out of the way, I think Sakura would be a really good example of a lawful good character. Actually, I really think that Sakura, at least Street Fighter V Sakura, is a chaotic good character. She's definitely a chaotic good character. Now, I know this is the D&D alignments are a bit weird, like they're very subjective almost, and they change based on people's experience with DMs and whatnot. But I'm going based off of the official rule book and after a ton of research. And personally, I think that Sakura from Street Fighter V Sakura is a chaotic good character. Now let me explain this. Chaotic doesn't mean evil. And good doesn't necessarily mean like good means exactly what it does mean. It means that she cares for life, she's willing to help those in need, and she does nice things and thinks about others. And chaotic means that she doesn't care for rules, she's sporadic, and she prefers freedom. Now you can see where, chaotic, I'm not saying she's an evil person. I'm not saying she's chaotic evil, which is very different from chaotic good. But, she's a good person who cares about other people, but is willing to break rules for her own personal gain. Now, that could also fall under chaotic neutral. Now, chaotic neutral means that, she doesn't care for rules, and she literally does things for her own gains. She doesn't like killing, but won't make sacrifices to help save them. Now that doesn't seem exactly like Sakura, because she definitely is like really nice and she's willing to help people and she's a really kind person, which is the main difference, which is the real reason why I chose that she was chaotic good. Now in the future, you want to think about this in terms of in two steps or three steps almost. Are they good, evil, or neutral? And are they lawful or chaotic or neutral? Now, breaking it up that way lets you really be able to place them in the right dynamic. Good meaning, do they do nice things for other people, and are they willing to, sacrifice themselves if they have to? Neutral meaning they do things for their own gain. Like I said, they don't like killing the innocent, but won't make sacrifices to kill them, to protect them, or help others. And they mainly they prioritize relationships, personal relationships. And evil literally just enjoys causing pain and suffering to people. Now then when you ask the question, are they lawful or chaotic, you ask, are they lawful? Do they abide by a set of rules? Do they like working within a system of order? Are they rigid? Are they disciplined? Ryu is a good example of like a lawful character. He will never, like if he was in school, he would have probably never left school to go find a master. Maybe he might have, but I don't think that's the case. He's too disciplined. Um, like he wouldn't skip out a day of training with Goken because he found a new master that might teach him something interesting. He's not that type of person. Um, but as we know, Sakura was often she's often left school for long periods of time to travel the world to find Ryu. It's obviously for her own personal gain. She didn't care for the school system, the fact that the moral codes that you have to go to school. But when she got older, she became a bit more lawful. She did. So at this time period, I would say Street Fighter Five Sakura is a bit more lawful than chaotic, just because we saw in the cutscene where she literally said she couldn't leave work to go travel the world and find Ryu again. So she did become more of a lawful good character. Um, Actually became like an adult, but when she was younger, she was more chaotic. So the verdict stands. Final verdict stands. I know if I'm confusing anybody, I'm really sorry. But the final verdict stands that Street Fighter V Sakura is a lawful, good character. She will not skip work to go travel the world. She's a lawful, good character now. And last but not least, the neutral. There's a neutral within the lawful, chaotic, and neutral. And if you meet up both neutrals, you get the true neutral. But the neutral on the lawful and chaotic side, meaning they're willing to break rules if they have to, whatever's in their best interest. It basically means the same thing, but it's a slightly different text. But if your character meets that requirement, then they are truly neutral. They like that balance. So yeah, Sakura here is more of a lawful good character for sure. But when she was a kid, she was a chaotic neutral character. Let me know in the comments below what you think about that. Sorry, my phone went off there. Now let's move on to the archetype Now the archetype is the role they play in the game. Obviously, as we stated earlier, the game she's in is a 2D fighting game or a fighting game, primarily like a 2D style fighting game. So the archetype, the role she's playing in the game. Now this gets really interesting because fighting games have different archetypes than like MOBAs or FPSs. So let's see if we can break this down. So normally you have like grapplers, you have like rushdowns, you have like basic Shoto characters. You have like really beefy. The beefy people are the grapplers. Usually it's broken down into tank, DPS, and support, but there's not really any supports in a fighting game. So here, I think Sakura would best fall under the description of a Shoto character, just because her kit is similar to Ryu's. Now I know that's not how she's played. She's played as if she's a really good rushdown character, with Shoto aspects to her. But in terms of like from a character design standpoint, what we would go in with is some kind of like pseudo Shoto character, like pseudo Shoto, pseudo rushdown character. So with that in mind, we can talk about whether or not she actually portrays this through her design communication. Does she look like a rushdown character? Does she look like a Shoto character? Let's compare gameplay versus design, and what exactly is this character capable of at first glance. So when you first see her, as we said, she looks very reminiscent of Ryu. And Ryu as a character is a Shoto character. He's a very balanced character. So that's probably what you might get at a first glance at this character. It's like, oh boy, another Shoto character, just a female Ryu. But obviously that's not the case, because when you play her, she plays like she's faster, she's more in your face than Ryu. She's more aggressive. Now from this standpoint, I think that really shows, just because of the fact that we can see her. I mean, obviously the showing of the legs is like appealing to her, as appealing in a sexual sense. But I think it also works really well in a design sense, showing that she doesn't really she doesn't have like any restrictions on her like legs. Like she doesn't have on like long pants like Ryu does, or long like loose pants. She just has on a skirt that really just kind of lets her like move around freely, and she has on sneakers, which means like sneakers are usually an indicator that somebody's like relatively fast or they run. Um, and then obviously she has on the headband that's in the back. So I think that she's a relatively looking at her at first glance, she would definitely look like a Shoto character with maybe some kind of rush down elements. So I think she's actually portrayed relatively well, in my opinion. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. All right, so let's move on to the good. Like, what are some good elements about her? So as we said, it shows that she has some Shoto elements to her, but there's some slight changes that make you think that she's a whole different like beast almost. Just the very subtle changes that really help you show that. So I really, like I said, I really like the design of the uniform. It looks really really cool, and the fact that she doesn't have like her collar is not like popped up, so it doesn't show that she's like a delinquent or whatever. It's not like popped up like that. It actually is folded the way it's supposed to be. She has on this kind of tie scarf thing. So I think that works really well, showing that she's not wild. Like, she may be a rushdown character, but she's not wild. She's not like batshit crazy. Like, she's not like gonna wild out on you. She's very calm and cool-headed almost. So, and again, I like how they showed the legs here. Showing the legs here was a really, really nice touch, to show that, she's actually like mobile. Now, is there anything that we can improve upon? Now, this is a good question, because if we can improve something about this design, I would definitely say that the only thing I would do personally is I would probably I would probably make this like outfit a bit more skin tight at the top, just so you can see more of her form, because generally, if you see more of a person's shape, or a tight, like tights almost, you can kind of tell that that person is more of like a nimble, more nimble character. Basically, the more of the body you can see, the more nimble and fast the character comes across. Other than that, I think they actually did an extremely good job here with her. You can tell that she fights similar to Ryu, so you can expect this character to throw Hadokens, do like Tatsumakis, do DPs or Dragon Punches. You can kind of assume all of that already, and then again, because you can see more of the legs, and like you kind of see that these long strong legs, you can assume that she's going to be like rushing at you. Not to mention, she has this little, I know it's a very small tidbit, but she has this little point right here that shows that she's a bit more dynamic than Ryu is. But yeah, I think there's nothing really to add here. I think it's an amazing design, to be honest. So yeah, that's it for the video. If you guys want to see somebody next week, I'm going to try to do these once a week. If you guys have anyone that you would like to see analyzed, please let me know in the comments below. And definitely, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, thumbs down if you didn't. I'd love to hear your feedback, and let me know if you think I talked too long, or what's going through your head. But please subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when I do upload new videos. And be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and all the other stuff. I'll post the links in the description below. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you guys have a great day. See ya.